Breaking news! The Ravens just pulled off a win that could have saved their season. But what happened behind the scenes is what really got fans excited. One coordinator may have just saved his job. Another is still on the hot seat. And a quiet veteran has emerged as the unexpected hero no one expected. And there's a big question hanging in the air. Is Baltimore finally turning the page? Or are we being fooled again? But before we dive into all that, be sure to like this if you're a true Ravens fan. It's always amazing to see fans of all ages cheering for this team. And if you'd like, comment *go RAVENS * below. Let's go. Yesterday's win over the Chicago Bears wasn't just another W. It was the moment this team looked itself in the mirror and said, "We're not dead yet." And while many will focus on the stat lines or final score, the truth is that there's a much deeper story here, a narrative of resilience, redemption, and reckoning. Let's talk about the most urgent pulse point of this team, the defense. After spending the first 5 weeks as the league's laughingstock, this unit has suddenly found its swagger. Back-to-back weeks of strong performances, holding down both the Bears and the Rams, two offensively sound teams led by two of the most respected offensive minds in football, Ben Johnson and Sean McVay, to a combined 16.5 points. That's no fluke. That's a statement. Roquan Smith, absolutely dominant. Teddy Buchanan, arguably his best performance of the season. And then there's Kyle Hamilton, back in his element as that hybrid, free-roaming threat capable of blowing up plays no matter where he's lined up. Now, before we crown this defense as officially back, there's a caveat. Yes, they've looked vastly improved. Yes, the eye test matches the numbers. But there's a reason Ravens fans are still cautiously optimistic. One win doesn't erase 5 weeks of underachievement. If this unit shows up again on Thursday Night Football, no less, against a fast-paced Miami Dolphins team, then we might be looking at a legitimate turning point. Then there's the coaching staff. Oh, the coaching staff. John Harbaugh's seat may not be as hot as some fans would like, but don't let this win fool you. Not every job is safe. Defensive coordinator Zach Orr and offensive coordinator Todd Monken both came under heavy fire early in the season. Yesterday was a big step forward, particularly for Monken, who arguably called his best game all year. Strategic, balanced, and finally tapping into Derrick Henry's potential behind a reinvigorated offensive line. But one good week does not make up for an ugly start. There's still a lot of season left, and this organization has been down this road before, looking competent one week, flatlining the next. The heat is still on, and as the pressure builds, every decision from here on out will be scrutinized tenfold. Now let's talk about the unsung hero of this offense. Not Lamar, not Derrick Henry. No, we're talking about the hammer, number 42, Patrick Ricard. Ravens fans, if you didn't already know, now you do. This guy is the heartbeat of the short yardage game. When Ricard was absent or underused in the early weeks, the run game floundered, especially in short yardage and goal line situations. Even with Derrick Henry in the backfield, nothing was working. But the moment Ricard was unleashed, the offense began to click. His blocking, his physicality, his sheer presence, it's opened up rushing lanes and rebuilt confidence in this offense. You want to know why Henry looks better now than he did in September? Look no further than the fullback leading the way. And let's not forget the stakes of this game. This wasn't just a win, it was a must-win. Drop to 1-6, and you're staring down a nearly impossible climb. Want some perspective? The last team to start 1-6 and still make the playoffs was the Cincinnati Bengals in 1970. That's 55 years. The Ravens knew what was on the line, and they played like it. With everything at stake, both sides of the ball stepped up in ways we haven't seen all season. It wasn't just a win. It was a message. We're not done. And now, picking up right where we left off, because this is where things start to get real. The Ravens have 5 games left on their regular season slate, and 4 of them are against opponents with losing records. But before we jump ahead, let's lock in on something important. Momentum only matters if you keep building it. One of the hardest things to do in the NFL isn't finding a spark, it's sustaining it. And that's where this team has struggled the most. Consistency has been the ghost haunting Baltimore all season long. So now the question becomes, can they finally break that pattern? Thursday Night Football against Miami isn't just another primetime game, it's the litmus test. The Dolphins might be under .500, but don't let that record fool you. They're fast, aggressive, and they're going to attack every weakness they see on tape. For the Ravens defense, this is the real proving ground. If Roquan Smith and Teddy Buchanan can replicate what they did against Chicago and LA, if Kyle Hamilton continues to roam like a predator in the secondary, and if the defensive line can generate pressure early and often, then yes, we can start having real conversations about a late-season playoff push. But it's not just about the defense anymore. Let's talk Lamar. He's been on the sidelines, but there's hope we could see him return very soon. And when he does, the equation equation changes completely. Tyler Huntley has done everything you could ask of a backup. He's poised, smart, and stepped up big when the season was teetering on the edge. But let's not get it twisted. Lamar Jackson is still the heartbeat of this franchise. If he comes back healthy, motivated, and aligned with Monken's newly adapted offense, this team could go from bottom feeder to dark horse in a matter of weeks. But Lamar isn't walking into the same offense he left. Derrick Henry is finding rhythm. Justice Hill is adding spark. And most importantly, Patrick Ricard is back to being the silent engine powering the ground game. Monken has quietly shifted his approach. We're seeing more balanced play calling, more tempo control, more rhythm. It feels like this offense is finally playing to its strengths instead of forcing something that isn't there. And that's key, because as much as this team has needed a reset, what they really needed was to rediscover who they are, and for the first time all year, it feels like they're doing exactly that. Now, there's still the elephant in the room, John Harbaugh. Fans are split. Some want him out regardless of what happens next. Others believe his leadership is the only reason this team is still even in the fight. But here's the reality. Unless the wheels completely fall off down the stretch, Harbaugh isn't going anywhere. Ownership trusts him. The locker room respects him. And unless this team nosedives, expect him back. That doesn't mean there won't be changes. Zach Orr and Todd Monken, their futures still hang in the balance. They've bought themselves time, but time isn't a guarantee. Every call, every drive, every game from here on out is a resume builder or a nail in the coffin. There's no middle ground anymore. As for the rest of the AFC North, the good news is, it's wide open. The Steelers, Bengals, and Browns all have issues of their own. The Ravens just need to stay steady. If they can take care of business against the Dolphins, Vikings, Browns, and Jets, they'll enter Week 18 with momentum, confidence, and possibly a playoff berth on the line. Because here's the reality, Ravens fans, this isn't just about chasing a playoff spot anymore. This is about identity, about redemption, about rewriting the narrative of a season that started in absolute disaster and somehow, still, has a pulse. Think back to the first 5 weeks. The missed tackles, the offensive confusion, the absolute inability to convert short yardage situations even with Derrick Henry in the backfield. This team looked lost, and for a while, it felt like hope was slipping away. But something changed. Not overnight, but slowly, quietly, and maybe most importantly, internally. It wasn't a trade. It wasn't a locker room fight or a viral speech. It was the return of grit, structure, belief. Patrick Ricard's reinsertion into the offense flipped a switch that the numbers don't fully show. He brought physicality, balance, and an edge that had been missing. You could see it in Henry's runs. No more hesitation, no more searching for lanes that didn't exist. There was confidence again. Trust in the scheme. Trust in each other. On defense, the transformation is just as compelling. Kyle Hamilton has become a weapon again, no longer misused or static. Roquan Smith has been a general in the middle, and Teddy Buchanan is playing like a man with something to prove. This unit went from historically bad to borderline elite over the past 2 weeks. Yes, it's early. Yes, it's only 2 games. But in the NFL, momentum matters. And right now, Baltimore has it. Still, everything hinges on what happens next. Thursday night football against Miami isn't just another test. It's a defining moment. Win, and the Ravens are officially back in the conversation, not just for a wild card, but as a real threat. Lose, and all the progress, all the excitement, starts to feel like another false dawn. Lamar Jackson's return looms large. If and when he's back, this offense, now finally stabilized, could explode. But it all depends on the foundation that's being laid right now. Coaching decisions, player execution, and mental toughness will decide whether this team soars or sinks. So here's the final truth. This stretch is more than just games on a schedule. It's a 5-week audition for the future of this franchise. Will Zach Orr and Todd Monken prove they're the right minds to lead this roster? Will Harbaugh silence the doubters once again and show he still has command of this team? And most importantly, will this group, these players, fight like a team that believes in each other, or fall back into the chaos that nearly ended their season before it even began? That's the question now, and it's not one we can answer tonight. It'll be answered on the field, one game at a time, and we'll be here, breaking it down every step of the way.